From Korean Zombie's absence from the octagon to the Blessed's insane arsenal of punches, here's why Max Holloway will kill the Korean Zombie. Young Chan-sung hasn't stepped inside the cage since 2022.
If you want to fight me, anytime, anywhere.
And his last fight didn't go in his favor either. At UFC 273, he suffered a brutal 4th-round TKO loss against the featherweight champ. So you'll have to dig even deeper to find his last victory, because it was back in 2021 against Danny Gay. It's been a whole year since he last fought, but you really can't blame him for his absence, because he tried to book a fight for himself in February 2023, but he couldn't because of an injury. I'd give this guy an A for effort, but you can't expect anyone to come in and beat Max after staying out of the octagon for an entire year. I mean, he's a real tough challenge for a rusty fighter.
Holloway is the undisputed UFC featherweight champion. Hawaii, stand up.
After all, most of the division is terrified of fighting him. Blessed, on the other hand, fought recently in 2023 when he dismantled Arnold Allen in a brutal fashion. If we're talking about who's in better fighting form, it obviously has to be Max, because he's got momentum on his side and is in the best shape of his life. You see, the Zombie's 36 years old now, and being combat ready at that kind of age isn't a piece of cake. But that's not the only reason Holloway is going to win, because the odds of him losing are unfairly low. I mean, this has to be one of the most irresponsible matchups in UFC history. It's a slap in Young's face, and is degrading to everything he's done for the sport. He's gone through numerous bloody wars inside the octagon in his career and gave us one iconic fight after another. By the looks of it, this is probably his retirement fight, so the UFC should have given him an easy matchup at least, but setting him up against the second best featherweight in the world is ridiculous. I mean, Max would have definitely been the champ if Alex wasn't in the equation, because he's a whole different breed of fighter, and we've seen him dismantle almost every top-ranking featherweight in the division.
Man is an absolute savage. All he wants to do is to break men.
Holloway walked through guys like Brian Ortega, Jose Aldo. Heck, he even did a great job against Volkanovski too, because he took him to decision all 3 times that they fought. So Dana putting the veteran fighter in front of a guy like him is just brutal. Even the fans aren't happy with this decision. As soon as White announced the fight fans stormed social media and lashed out at the UFC. One fan said that the promotion should lose their license for making a fight like this, while another user said that they feel bad for Zombie. But that's not it, because the sentiment started to grow that this was some of the worst matchmaking in MMA history. One user even predicted that Max is going to land 1,000 significant strikes on him, which is obviously an exaggeration, but after seeing his fight against Calvin Kattar, it isn't too hard to imagine. Even the fans know how ugly things can get, and they're all worried about the Zombie. I mean, how could they not be, since he's such a beloved fighter, and the UFC is clearly sending him to his doom. Obviously, this is a complete mismatch, but the only reason this fight's happening is because Holloway himself asked for it, calling the Korean Zombie out, and the veteran openly accepted it. If the challenge wasn't so public, I don't think the UFC would have made this fight happen, because Young's known for having a weak chin, and he takes a lot of damage in his fights. On the other hand, Max is the self-proclaimed best boxer in the world.
The undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world.
And honestly, he just might be, which is why he's a straight-up threat to the veteran's well-being. Honestly, a more evenly matched fight would have been better for the Zombie to come back with at least. And maybe he could have warmed up to fighting Holloway if he won that match. Because the way it looks right now, the match will definitely end in the early rounds. The only way Young can survive is if he can shake off his rust really fast, because Max's punches are insane, and Zombie's chin is not going to be able to tank the kind of damage he dishes out. After all, his striking volume's outrageous. The number of significant strikes Holloway hits in every round is crazy, and he outpaces even the best fighters with it. It's not about his speed or power, because he's not the most explosive guy in the octagon or even the fastest, but the sheer skill he has gives him an unreal edge over the competition.
From Holloway, can Corisani get his head clear and pull back? He's got to clinch, he's got to tie him up.
Holloway isn't always looking to finish fights through his punches. In fact, he's far more technical, because sometimes he's only looking to wear his opponents down, and it's worked like a charm for him so far. He's always moving around and gauging the distance between his enemies, trying to control the space. Just the fact that he has a total of 3,122 significant strikes in his entire career is downright terrifying. On the other hand, the fighter who came second to him is Angela Hill, and she has 1,820 significant strikes to her name.
Striker, being a North American Muay Thai champion.
So Max is up there with an unbelievable margin, and no one even knows if it's possible to beat his record. With Chan-sung pushing 37, it's tough to get into the kind of slugfests Holloway loves at that age, because he'll get tired pretty early on. On top of that, Max is only 31 with sensational cardio, and he's got no problems going the distance. But his relaxed feints are really gonna seal the deal against the veteran, because they're gonna throw Jung completely off his game with no repercussions for Max at all. You see, when a lot of other fighters throw feints, their movement is very twitchy and it ends up exhausting them. But that's not the case with the Blessed Express, because when he's throwing feints, he stays completely relaxed. That doesn't mean he's too slow. In fact, he's found the sweet spot for throwing a feint at just the right speed.
In the UFC and all of the rest of his experience of his 10 and 3. Oh! Corsani goes down.
And even though they're not the quickest, people still fall for them all the time. This technique helps him control the pace of the fights and is one of the best weapons in his arsenal. But he isn't only good at throwing strikes, he's also great at taking them. Yeah, the zombie's got a glass chin, but Blessed is the complete opposite of it, being able to tank devastating shots with his chest wide open. No matter what his opponents do, it feels like it doesn't affect him at all. That's why Korean Zombie has a massive disadvantage going into the fight, because everyone knows he likes to go after his opponents and trade blows.
Back to his feet. But right on the taking shot.
But if it comes down to that with Holloway, he'll lose the exchange every time. So finishing off someone as durable as Max is almost impossible for him. On top of that, it's already going to be tough for him to land shots at Max because of the height advantage Holloway has over him. Now, there's only a 2-inch height difference between the two, but still, it'll help Blessed a lot. You see, he's an expert at utilizing his distance, and it makes him even more dangerous because in the fight game, every inch counts.
He pointed at the DC. He's even listening to the commentary.
Holloway uses his long arms and legs to close all the gap, especially when his opponents are shorter than him. I mean, his spatial awareness is off the charts, and that's gonna affect the zombie a lot in this fight. Because not only will he take a bunch of damage, he won't even be able to counter back at Max with the right positioning. And don't even get me started on Holloway's low kicks, because they're as effective as it gets. He uses them to maintain a good distance from fighters, and only when the damage starts to take a toll on their legs, Max will switch the pace of the fight in an instant and launch brutal punches at him like a madman.
Holloway walks through it like it's nothing. This could be it.
Max Holloway peppering shots.
Even if the zombie is able to cope with all of this, he's still gonna come up short against Holloway's huge arsenal of punches. Max likes to start with a few punches down the middle, and within a fraction of a second, he'll switch to targeting the head or the body. He's so good at constantly cycling through his combos that it's almost impossible for his opponents to read him. His complicated attack patterns leave his competition confused, which opens them up to get hit, allowing him to go in for the kill. So he always keeps fighters guessing, and after being out of the octagon for so long, Jung is gonna be too rusty to keep up, and it'll cost him the fight. So there you have it, folks. From the Blessed's insane arsenal of punches to Korean Zombie's absence from the octagon, that's why Max Holloway will kill Chan Sung.
If you want to fight me anytime, anywhere, let's go, brother.